A Republican representative in Washington state recently went after a reporter for doing his job, for calling out her attempting to push QAnon and other conspiracy stuff onto her constituents. So now this is correspondent Daniel Walters, and he had received a profane and homophobic response after reporting that State Representative Jenny Graham had been posting conspiracy theories on her Facebook. So now this was in an article in the for the Inlander, right? And so here's what Walters writes. In December, Washington State Representative Jenny Graham, a Republican in the 6th district, posted a Facebook link to an article at a site called Vaccine Impact. Already. Vaccine Impact. Now, this particular article was about the weaknesses of the pertussis vaccine, right? The article, of course, in question basically tried to make or tried to perpetuate the idea, I guess, that vaccines are related to causing autism, right? And so that's obviously been debunked quite a lot. And nonetheless, anti-vaxxers tend to continue to hold on to that discredited Wakefield study as quote-unquote proof that vaccines are bad and that they don't work. So now that site and that article perpetuated that myth, but that same place also has become a QAnon conspiracy site. So now some of the claims made by this website claim that there is a globalist pedophile ring that is harvesting children's blood just before they are murdered as sacrifices to Satan. So just to show you, where you're at on that. So if you're posting links from Vaccine Impact, odds are you're an idiot. I'm just saying. Okay, anyway. There was another Facebook post that was pointed out in the Inlander. In that, Graham wrote that, quote, the appetite to have sex with children as young as infants is a growing business, and linked to a blog post that makes a claim that the significant portion of 460,000 missing children, quote, end up in sex dungeons to be exploited and repeatedly raped by literal demons. Look, is there an issue with trafficking? Yes. Yes, there is. Or are they being raped by demons? Don't think so. Now, in case you're wondering what he meant by literal demons, because look, you could say the people who do this, they're demonic. They're such bad people. No, he actually means that these are reptilian human hybrids put into positions of power by evil extra-dimensional beings. So, no, they're not, there's no mistake there, right? They mean what they say. All right. So, this is obvious crackpot conspiracy nonsense. All right. So, nonetheless, Walters goes out of his way to be like, look, she didn't know that. Maybe. I mean, maybe she didn't really read into that. And he puts that in the article. In fact, the article is titled, Representative Jenny Graham forwarded her Facebook followers to bizarre conspiracy sites without realizing it. Okay, so it's like, hey man, sometimes you post some weird things and you get a link that you kind of agree with and you post it on your website. And Graham herself says, well, I didn't really agree with everything on that site. I didn't really read into it. But, the article itself, I mean, it's fine, makes my point. Does it, though? I mean, there's a lot of craziness in what you're posting and then, backed up by more craziness in that entire website. But nonetheless, he writes, she was unaware of the weirder views on those sites, but didn't express regret about sharing the links. But here's where I think he's being a little too fair. Because, look, Graham, and he even points it out as well, has been pushing back against fact checks on some of those articles on Facebook. In June, for example, Facebook flagged a post that Graham shared as false for incorrectly suggesting that coronavirus expert Anthony Fauci was in favor of rushing a vaccine. Anthony Fauci is not in favor of rushing a vaccine. I guess you can kind of make that mistake, right? Like, because everybody wants a vaccine. Well, unless you're an anti-vaxxer, of course. But at the same time, Fauci says, no, we can't rush a vaccine. We have to have it go through the proper testing to make sure that it not only is safe, but it's also that it also works and doesn't have any side effects down the road. And so that's kind of an important thing. You want to make sure these vaccines are safe. Sure. And so I guess that's a mistake that you can make, right? But there was another post in August where Graham objected to Facebook flagging a video as incorrect that argued that masks were ineffective and that hydroxychloroquine cured coronavirus, of which there, of course, is no evidence that that hydroxychloroquine cures coronavirus, and so that is right now objectively false. Okay. And this is according to medical experts, by the way, who dispute these claims. Now, Graham argues, the issue's not settled. Okay, but wait a minute. Okay, like medical professionals are looking into it, right? Medical professionals so far have said, no, masks are probably the most effective way of preventing the spread of coronavirus. And if everybody wore masks, then we would see a massive drop in about 2 to 3 months. That's what medical experts are saying. And medical experts have also said coronavirus is not cured by hydroxychloroquine. It can be helpful in some patients who are severely affected, along with, of course, other medications. And it really also depends on your age and all that stuff. Okay. So there's a little bit of nuance in there, but it's not at all what she would post it, right? Graham says, fact checkers, overstepping your bounds. Well, wait a minute. Fact checkers are supposed to check facts and to label things as misleading or incorrect if there are no facts to back up the original claim. Okay, but she says, who fact checks the fact checkers? The people who have the facts. And generally, those are the people that know more about healthcare and medicine than we do. So generally, you would allow them to. You would think you'd allow them to do their jobs, right? Because their whole job is, of course, to, I wouldn't say. I guess their whole job is not to fact check people on the internet, but it's the fact checkers, and they go and they research the studies, and they go, oh, okay, this is what the doctors have found. This is what they're saying. This is what the studies say. Okay, now we can deem this to be correct or incorrect, which is, again, what they're supposed to do. But regardless, Jenny Graham, not happy about this. Very upset, actually. As Walters writes, following this article after it was published, quote, State Representative Jenny Graham called me on my cell phone the day the Inlander published my story about her unwittingly linking to conspiracy theory posts on Facebook. I called her back immediately, while she was still leaving a voicemail, and was greeted with 2 blasts of profanity. So, let me just give you what she said. She said she called him a cocksucker and said, don't ever call me again. She also left him a voicemail. Quote, Daniel, you lying piece of shit. You've done it. You have started it. Don't you ever call me again. Do you understand? Don't you ever, and you tell your buddies not to call me either. It's on. If you think for 1 minute you're going to pull this crap and you're going to walk away from it, you're nuts. Somebody sounds a little nuts right there. And that message, that's nuts. She sounds like a crazy, unhinged person. It's important to note By the way, that despite that message, Graham never reached out to the paper. Never called out any, factual inaccuracies, never even made any complaints. Not with the site itself. I mean, she could say, hey, look, I get it. You got it wrong. I don't believe in these conspiracy theories. They are nuts. Maybe I should do some better sourcing for what I believe in. Okay, I made a mistake here. I appreciate you fact checking me, keeping me on, keeping me with the facts. Sure, I appreciate that. She instead did not do that, as you heard, and went to her echo chamber on Facebook in order to complain. Now, Walters writes about that, quote, across at least 15 separate Facebook posts and numerous Facebook comments, she publicly called me things like disgusting, hateful, sleazy, lying piece of dung. She accused me of not caring about human suffering and attacking human trafficking victims and of sacrificing real victims to push delusions and lies. Wow. That is some amazing ass projection. Holy shit. Now, she also wrote that she was looking for a lawyer in order to sue the Inlander. Good luck on that one. I guess maybe she's going after libel or something. I don't know. I have no idea. I suspect that she doesn't either. Because when asked directly by a former Spokane GOP chair what was false about the article, Graham declined to point out to any specific line in the story that was untrue. So she don't even know. Look, that's probably because it was all true and she did not like it. She got triggered. So there's two possibilities here. She's a conspiracy theorist and she got caught. Or the other possibility is she knows it's all bullshit, but plays to it because it's very popular among the right. Like QAnon, millions of followers now. A lot of Republicans believe in this stuff, and it's spreading all over social media. So, look, I'm just saying, if you want to, the time is ripe for grifters on the right wing. All they have to do is to start, tweeting WW1GA or whatever, right? And hashtag save the children, and suddenly, you're going to get a big audience on the right wing. And you can take it wherever you want from there. I'm just saying, the grift is real, and it is on the right. And so there's a possibility that she is part of that grift. And again, you have Republicans that are now, these QAnon people that are now winning Republican seats, that are winning Republican primaries. And so it is possibly a path to power as well. But it is really interesting. Now, here's the funny thing about this entire thing, about the Republican Party. The right wing, because of all this stuff, doesn't have to talk about policy. Why? It's because their policy mainly caters to rich people, right? To the donor class. So it actually works out really good for them that there's this insane stuff everywhere. Evil extra-dimensional beings and the lizard people and the harming the children. And this is B-movie stuff, right? And yet, you have millions of supposedly functional, well-adjusted adults who are falling into this stuff, who are believing it, and as a result, vote Republican. And so, at this point, you can't really even call the Republican Party a party anymore, a political party. What it has turned into is basically a QAnon conspiracy theory cult.